We'll call to order the Saugatuck City Council meeting for December 14th, 2020. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Dean?
Here.
Leo?
Here.
Lewis?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Stanton?
Here.
Truster? I see him waving his hand. Beckon?
Here.
All accounted for.
And here and unmuted.
All right, Ken. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. It's like we have a great turnout. So again, welcome. Our first agenda item is approval of minutes. We've got approval that includes minutes from 3 meetings. So first meeting that we need to approve the minutes is our regular city council meeting of November 30, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Mayor, go ahead, Chris. Got it, Chris.
Thanks. I move we approve the regular city council meeting of November 23rd, 2020 as presented.
Second. Yeah.
Okay, we got a motion by Peterson and a second by
Dean.
Scott Dean to approve the minutes as presented. Are there any questions, corrections, or
Yeah,
comments?
correct. Mr.
Ken?
Mayor,
Yes,
I
sir.
have a correction to propose. Towards the end there, where we talked about council comments. I just wanted to sort of change a very minor point. It says Ken thanks Sean Steele for donating the tree in Coughlin Park. Sean really created the tree project, but there were lots of donors who contributed to paying for the tree. So I'd kind of like to change that to just say he created the tree that is now in Coughlin Park.
Okay, do I have any other concerns about that amendment? Aaron, do you got that as far as correction the minutes?
Yep.
Okay. So no further discussion. Please call a roll on the amended motion.
Peterson?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Leo?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Stanton?
Yes.
Truster?
Yes.
Beckon?
Yes. The next proposed minutes that need action on is for a special meeting that was held on November 30, 2020. I have a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes from the November 30th, 2020 council meeting, special meeting.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, real quick correction. On the first page under 4A, the second paragraph, that single line, city council entered back into open session at, I think it was 8:28, not 9:28.
Yes, you are correct. Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry, I
Yep.
caught it on the other ones.
All
just
good.
as I was entering. The timestamps are always an hour off on Zoom.
All good.
Okay, so Aaron, you'll be making that correction.
Yep, I've got it.
Any other comments? If not, please call the roll.
Truster?
Yes.
Leo?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Stanton?
Yes.
Beckon?
Yes.
And then I'll just mention, Mayor, that each of the city council city council members was let into the room to view the closed session minutes. So everybody on council has had an opportunity to read those closed session minutes that are not open to the public.
Okay, and for a quick review for the public who is sitting in on the meeting tonight, as part of the special meeting on November 30, there was also a closed session where council goes into an executive session without public there. We conducted that meeting and then closed it. And right now we're just approving the minutes of the closed session, which I'll know also are not available for public viewing. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session, Mayor.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion by Holly, support by Peterson to approve the minutes from the closed session. Please call the roll.
Leo,
Yes.
Peterson,
yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
Beckett.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Moving on through the agenda, city manager, mayor's comments. I'm going to withhold comments to the end of the meeting under council comments. Moving on to city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I have three things to report on verbally before I get to the report that I put in your packet. The first thing is Jim Selman, who was the donor of the money to build a band shell in Wicks Park, called me last week, and he wanted to give us a heads up that he was going to ask to be released from the agreement, the donation agreement, and wanted us to hear it from him before his attorney called. The reason he gave was because the band shell is causing such a division in the community, and he didn't want that to happen. We haven't heard from his attorney yet, so there's really no action to take, but I did want to, tell you publicly that that happened. And I did call Fleece and Vandenbrink and ask them to stop their work. Jim also said that he did not want the taxpayers of the city to pay for the work that's been done so far. So he has asked that whatever bills have been submitted, that they be deducted from his donation before that is returned. The second thing is about the fence that went up last week across the river. Well, depends what side of the river you're on, if it's across the river. The fence that went up between the ferry dock and the private boat slips. Last year, in July of 2019, the city approved a land swap with the Dune Ridge developers. And part of that land swap was allowed for the construction of an 8-foot tall privacy fence. The fence went up, as I said, and there's a lot of questions being asked. And frankly, I don't have the answers to those questions yet. Staff and myself are gathering information. Cindy Osmond and I met with the developer this morning, and we have been consulting with our attorney. So I do hope to have a report to you very soon, but I am not ready to state anything until I have all the facts. Third thing I have to report, a little bit nicer news. Chief Janik, the fire chief, called about a week or so ago and put forth an idea to do a snow plowing mutual aid agreement between the fire department, the city of Douglas, and the city of Saugatuck. And we talked by email a couple times, and then we got on a Zoom meeting with our respective DPW directors, and everyone thought they could make this work. And what really impressed me about it was because we got into a bind with our leaf pickup because we had 2 people out, and that could happen to any one of us with the snow plowing too. So we thought a mutual aid agreement would be good. The way we kind of thought it would happen was each one of us would be responsible to do our main streets, our emergency routes first. And then before we got to secondary streets, to go over and help our neighbor who is in need. And the fire department would come into this because they have a plow, a couple dump trucks, and a lot of drivers with CDL, and it was their idea. So we thought it was a good idea. So we are working on a mutual aid agreement, and that too will come back to you when we have something to show you. But those three things are in the pipeline and being worked on. In the packet, I had a memo about the CSR program. The CSR program is a community safety rating program, and it is not with FEMA or with the National Flood Insurance Program, but it is connected to them. The Community Safety Rating Program is a private agency, and they collect data. And if you collect the data for them, they do offer a small savings on residents' flood insurance. It has nothing to do with FEMA. It has nothing to do with the flood insurance program. We're not jeopardizing anything by pulling out of the CSR. I did make, after learning how much effort went into the reporting of this and how little return there was, I made the decision to discontinue our participation in the CSR program. I think that's all I have to say, unless you have questions.
Okay. Does council have any questions regarding this CSR program that's related to the flood insurance program? If not, that was a topic of discussion and at one of our meetings with Cindy Osmond, our zoning person, and Mayor Pro Tem Lewis and myself when we were reviewing the agenda. And so we got the information that this was a administrative decision. It was presented the whys and wherefores to Mayor Pro Tem Lewis and myself. And we supported their decision and asked them to put it on the agenda this evening to let the council and the public know about this. So moving on, I'm not aware of any agenda changes, additions or deletions. Karen or Cindy or Aaron, do we have anything from your standpoint? Nothing
Not
from
that I'm aware
council?
of.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, fine, thank you. So we'll move on to guest speakers this evening. Is Lieutenant Brett Ensfield from the Allegheny County Sheriff's Department with us this evening?
Yes, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good to have a good
Hear me?
evening, Brett.
Yeah, I just I know you guys got a lot of stuff on the agenda, so I pretty don't have a lot. I do want to report that Deputy Flockster did fly some erosion photos and stuff. We got a break in the weather, which it seemed like there were several weeks there with high winds where we couldn't fly the department drone, but he was able to get some pictures, and we shared those with the township, the fire department, and then we did take some city pictures for the city of the Oval Beach out there, and gave those to Scott. I don't know if those got disseminated down through you guys or not. I could provide some if they did not for your guys' viewing. So that's about it. Unless you guys have some questions or anything.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for Lieutenant Ensfield? I'm hearing none, Brett, so go ahead.
Good.
Right.
That's
Well, thank you for your meeting, your attending our meeting and giving us an update.
Did Scott get you guys Did Scott get you guys the pictures of the erosion out there?
Scott did just
Okay.
let me know that Officer Flockster did take those.
Okay.
I know that there is some concern on Scott's part about continuing erosion in front of the beach house and to the south of the beach house. And he has shared that information with, what he shared with me was with John Moxie from Police. He doesn't really in a position to make any type of report now. But I guess it's just being used as a reference material. And I'm sure Scott can get it to us if council wants to look at it, probably just contact Karen and they can arrange it.
So I can email Karen a couple pictures of shoreline, just all the way down, just for you guys, just take a couple snapshots to see what some of the erosion looks like, from all the way from down just north of South Haven or up, and I could put a package together of like 4 or 5 pictures and email it to her, and she can disseminate out to you guys just for your interest or anything like that. So
Yeah.
there is some erosion in some spots,
Sure.
pretty substantial.
I think it'd be very interesting to us. I
Yeah.
appreciate that
So
offer. and
I'll do
we'll
that.
take
Yeah,
you
I'll
up
send
on
that
it.
out okay, I'll send those out. It'll be early Christmas gift for you guys. So.
All right. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. If there's no further questions for Lieutenant Ensfield, we'll move on to next agenda item, which is public comment. This is the opportunity for public in attendance to address the council on agenda items only at this time. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When recognized, please identify yourself and the community in which you reside. Anyone wish to address the council this evening? We're going to need a team approach here to keep track of.
I
all the
see Dan
people.
Fox.
Okay. I recognize Dan Fox. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick things. One related to item 13F, when you get to talking about the candidates for city manager. I watched the live interviews, or at least I watched 2 live interviews and then had to circle back to watch the other 2 that I had missed, watched them on YouTube. And I thought they were excellent, as many of you said, excellent candidates and what appears to be a very professionally conducted search. One question I had that I didn't hear asked, and if it was asked, I apologize, was whether the candidates would consider or had plans to live within the city limits of Saugatuck. I know there are some issues there that might arise relative to cost and so on and so forth. But I think it's at least worthy of asking that question, because living in the city, obviously you all do, gives one an appreciation and a perspective that isn't quite the same if you don't live in the city. I doubt that you can mandate, although maybe you can, that someone live within the city that an employee does. And I don't think it applies certainly to every employee of the city, but the city manager's kind of a special position charged with understanding the ebb and flow of the city and so forth. So for your consideration, the only other thing I wanted to correct Ms. Homan, the fire department does not have a dump truck. The plow that the fire department has is a much smaller kind of a driveway sort of truck, absolutely capable of plowing and capable of participating in the project you mentioned, which I think makes all the sense in the world. But I don't want you to think we're over-equipped out there. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Anyone else wish to address the council this evening? Aaron, you see any
I do
action out
not
there?
see anyone. If there is anyone calling by phone, they can press *6 to unmute themselves if they would like to speak. Other than that, I don't see anybody.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. We'll move on. Next agenda item is request for payments of accounts payable. Do I have a motion, please?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, this is Garnett. Motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $159,179.89.
A second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Lewis and seconded by Truster to pay the accounts receivables as presented tonight in the total of $159,179.89. If the only comment I'd like to make is that of that amount of 159 plus thousand, 127,000 plus is actually for revenues taken in with the current tax season. And the city doesn't keep any of these winter taxes, which I am assuming that's what that is. And they will be passed on to the other taxing entities. Just a pass through that we do, but it does show up as an accounts payable item on our report. So if there's no further questions,
Mayor,
Holly?
may I?
You got-
I noticed that we had almost $15,000 payment to Shoreline, our IT provider. And I'm assuming that's the $12,000 for the new server. And I just would like some follow-up about how we have transitioned the old server to the new server, and that all of the files that were previously on the server are intact, and just sort of the procedure for switching servers.
Okay, I don't know if Peter's on with us this evening. I don't,
Yes, yes.
is he? Peter, do you have something to comment? Can you comment on that?
Yeah, the server project went quite fine. Everything was switched over probably it was early November, late October. They did everything on a weekend, and I think we have all the issues, all the files are there. Everything went quite smoothly. I mean, it's all live now. So Aaron's been working on updating a new website, creating a new website for us. So it's working as scheduled.
Great. So any of those materials that are on the old server, no problem. They're
No.
accessible.
They're all there.
Okay. And then so that $15,000, almost $15,000 does include the $12,000 server. Is that correct?
That's correct. It was like 12.9. That must have been the last payable. It was 12.9. I believe it was 12.9 was for the actual server. And now we're up to like $911 is our monthly contract for the monthly maintenance, keeping everything running, all the all the email addresses, the antivirus, the backup stuff on the cloud, and all that stuff. So the monthly fee is the 900, just under $1,000 a month for that.
Great. Thanks so much, Peter. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter, just for clarification, the 15,000 that Councilperson Lewis referred to was covered in our last accounts payable?
Well,
Or
I
will be in the-
don't have, I'm looking at, I have the invoices with me here. And I only have the monthly bill. So I want to say, was that on the check register form? With
Maybe
all
it's
the
on
listed
the-
checks?
Yeah, it might be.
Yes.
It doesn't
Okay,
show up
yeah.
in,
So that was approved, would have been in the month of November. So it
Okay.
probably was the 20th.
okay, just wanted to
last
clarify that
meeting.
there are two different documents there.
Right.
Okay, good. All right, fine. Thanks. Any other questions? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Lewis,
Yes.
Truster,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Hacken.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter, for showing up, and always appreciate your good work. Moving on, there is no introduction of ordinances this evening. There are no public hearings, nor is there any unfinished business we need to address. We'll now move into the new business portion of the meeting. Agenda item A, an ordinance amendment state of emergency declaration. And Karen, can you kick it off for us, please?
Beginning January 1, the Open Meetings Act will allow remote meetings by Zoom like we do, only under 3 conditions. If someone is gone on military service, if they have a medical condition, or if there's a local or statewide declaration, state of emergency. The ordinance amendment 2012-14A that is before you allows the mayor to declare a local state of emergency. At your last meeting in December, I will ask for the mayor to do that and for the council to concur. It takes the council to let the state of emergency go past 7 days. This is so that we can continue meeting remotely. And if the state or the county declare a state of emergency, we won't have to do this. But at this point, we don't know if it will be extended. And so just to be covered, because it is not safe to meet together, I will ask you to declare a state of emergency. And the amendment to the ordinance allows that to happen.
Okay, council, any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Ken?
I just point out that, and this shouldn't affect our wanting to put this ordinance in effect. I believe it's the right thing to do. But according to the Michigan Municipal League, their online meeting today, the plan in the legislature is to extend the deadline or the end of this OMA extension until the end of March, which would be really good news. I understand that's passed the Senate and is going to the House this week. Once approved, then the governor would probably support that by signing it. So while that's on the horizon, which is good news, I still think we should pass this ordinance.
All right, thanks for that information. Any other comments?
Nope.
Just-
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes,
may.
You bet. Arnett, please.
Motion to approve ordinance 201214-A, amending Title III, Chapter 31, entitled Administration, Departments, Boards, and Commissions, to add a new section 31.02 entitled Emergency Declarations to the Code of the City of Saugatuck.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Lewis, seconded by Peterson, to adopt the ordinance amendment as presented. One more chance. Any further comments? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Lewis,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
and Beckett.
Yes. Next new business item, extend advisory, tri-community recycling ad hoc committee. City manager, Aaron?
At your recent meeting, Councilperson Lewis gave a report on the Tri-Community Recycling Ad Hoc Committee. And she spoke that there was a lot of work yet to do, but the resolution that formed the committee will expire December 31. She asked for the extension to be made so that they can continue working together. The resolution before you extends that committee for 1 more year.
Okay, do I have a motion on the item?
Yeah, Mayor, I'll make a
Resolution, please.
motion. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 201214A, a resolution to extend the advisory tri-community recycling ad hoc committee through 2021.
Second.
Now seconded by Scott. I didn't catch who seconded that.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
second.
so we have a motion by
Yeah,
Leo and seconded by Dean to approve the resolution as presented. Any further comments? If not, would the clerk please call a roll on the motion?
Yep, I just want to point out, I think that this is resolution 201214-B, if I am not mistaken. Leo,
yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
Beckett.
Yes, and we'll let that correction stand unless
I will correct that.
questions about it. All right, thank you. Thanks for catching that, Aaron. Next agenda item is The Allegheny County interlocal agreement for county designated assessor. Got to get to that. I don't know. Is that who's leading the charge on that? Karen again.
Yeah,
Good.
I'll take that one too. Beginning in 2022, the state will be doing audits of all local assessing units. If they find any substantial non-compliance, they will have a corrective path to come into compliance. If the local unit does not correct the deficiencies, then the local unit will have three options. One is to get a new assessor. Two is to have the state tax commission take over the assessment role. Or three, the local unit may move directly to the designated assessor. Allegan County has designated the equalization director, Matthew Wolford, to be the designated assessor for Allegan County. They're asking for an interlocal agreement and designated assessor contract that would come into play should the city be non-compliant with the assessing rules. The agreement would only come into play if we were found to be not in compliance, and there is no effect unless that happens. But if it did happen, we could enter into the agreement with the county to use their equalization director as our assessor. They've agreed to it in advance, and they're asking us to accept the interlocal agreement.
Okay, so what we actually have is we can take one of three options in the event that we have to go a different direction with assessing on a temporary basis. Is that correct?
Well, if it did come into play,
Yeah.
it would last a minimum of 3 years. It would normally last 5 years, and with a petition that we could take it back over again, and the state agreed to it, it would last for 3 years.
Oh, I get it. So if you fall out of any type of favor with the county for one reason or the other, you're kind of you go into a penalty phase, so to speak.
Well, I wouldn't call it that.
You know, but
It would
well,
actually be helping us out if
yeah, I
that-
get it. That's how you gotta look at it. You know, so I get it. That's fine. Any questions regarding this item? It looks more like a housekeeping item, another service that provided by the county in the event that it's necessary for us to access it.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have a quick
Sure.
question, and this may be putting you on the spot, Karen. Other than how exciting this reading was, thank you so much. I mean, it was stimulating. How often does it happen that a municipality would be in arrears like this? Does it happen very often?
I've never heard of it, but this is a new law, and it will be the first time that the state has done these compliance audits. So
Okay,
it's to be tested yet.
okay. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, Chris.
just for a little further clarification on that, the new law states that the state will come in and audit all the local municipalities. Is that correct? And they haven't done it before?
That is correct. And they expect it to take 5 years. They'll be doing so many each year on a rotating schedule. So about every 5 years, they intend to assess the local unit.
And when they assess the local unit, are they just doing the county, or are they doing all of the villages and townships too?
All of the villages and townships too.
Thank you.
Okay, additional questions from Karen on this? If not, do I have a motion?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, this is Garn. Motion to approve entering into the Allegan County interlocal agreement and designated assessor contract.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Lewis, seconded by Truster, to approve the motion to enter into the Allegheny County interlocal agreement and designator assessor contract. Any further questions, comments? If not, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
Lewis,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Beckon.
Yes. 77, 30
Yeah.
pages that document will. So I admire you, Garnett, enjoying reading that whole thing. Okay, moving on. Next item under new business is the appointment of Brian Stevens to the Board of Review. Karen?
We had a recent resignation on the Board of Review, and Mr. Stevens applied for a position, about a year ago. And with this resignation of one member, he was contacted to see if he was still interested, and he is. And the assessor and the Board of Review chair has asked the mayor to appoint Brian Stevens to fill out the unexpired term, which would expire January 1, 2022.
Do I have a motion regarding this appointment?
Mr. Mayor,
Sure can.
Lauren?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Brian Stevens to the City of Saugatuck Board of Review with such term expiring January 1st, 2022.
Thank
A
you.
second.
Okay, seconded by Dean. So we have a motion by Stanton, seconded by Dean to approve the motion to appoint Brian Stevens to the City Board of Review. Any other further comments or questions?
Happy to see Brian joining the Board of Review.
Certainly a capable gentleman, that's for sure. Clerk, please call the roll on the motion.
Stanton,
Lauren?
sorry, Stanton.
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was unmuted or not. Dean,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Peterson,
yes.
Trester,
Yes.
and Beckon.
Yes, yes, and on behalf of City Council, the City of Saugatuck, I'd like to thank Lou Wessel for his past service. It's appreciated. Moving on to the next item is a reappointment of Ken Blasity to the Board of Review. Aaron?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I move to approve the reappointment of Ken Blasity to the City of Saugatuck Board of Review with such term expiring January 1st, 2023.
Second,
all right. So we have a motion and a second, a motion by Truster, seconded by Peterson to reappoint Ken Blasity to the City of Saugatuck Board of Review. Any other comments or questions? If not, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
Trester,
Yes.
Peterson,
yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Beckon.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item F, city manager search. Has Frank Walsh joined us?
I'm here, Mayor.
Oh, good evening, Frank. Thank you for joining us. So Karen, why don't you open it up, please?
Well, at your special meeting, you interviewed 4 candidates. They were all very good candidates. The meeting tonight will be to discuss who you think might be the best candidate or maybe the best 2 candidates, and go around the figurative table and speak your mind. And if you can agree on a candidate, you can go to the motion to actually make a conditional offer of employment. If you want to bring back a top 2, then you would go to motion 2 to call a special meeting to bring back those 2 people for a second interview.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the introduction. Frank, would you like to make comments before we open it up to the council?
Yeah, I would. Thank you, Mayor Beckon. I just wanted to quickly go over for those that are joining you tonight who maybe for the first time regarding this process about what the council has done. Going back to September 14th, we engaged together on this process. We interviewed 21 community stakeholders in the community. We developed a community profile. We received 29 applications. In that, we had a closed session in that you reviewed the top 10 candidates. The city council selected 5. 1 withdrew the day before the interviews on the 9th. And on December 10th, you interviewed the 4 finalists. Many reference checks have been conducted on the 5. There was a lot of work that went into all 5, although we only interviewed 4. And as Mayor Doyle Homan mentioned, you have a few options before you this evening. And if you do end up with a contingent offer of employment tonight, would be based on that background and contractual negotiations. And that background investigation would include criminal, credit, driving, a review of the sexual predator list in Michigan. And then there's a couple of other things that we'll get to regarding after you decide how you're going to go forward tonight. We may also want to discuss press release and contractual negotiations, who's involved in that. And the background check will be conducted by a retired East Lansing private investigator, Ken Olette, conducts the investigations, and that report usually takes 7 to 10 days. So that's kind of where we've been since September up till tonight, and I look forward to your discussion. And I have to tell you, sitting through this meeting and all the other meetings that I've sat through, this is a really good group in Saugatuck, and I could work for this group any day. I've enjoyed your meeting tonight, and I enjoy how well you work together. So I look forward to your discussion. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Frank, and I'm sure we'll hear from you before we conclude this particular agenda item this evening. So what I'd like to do is just go around the table, so to speak. We're not at our table, or unless it's our kitchen table. So I'd like to call on each council person to kind of give whatever comments they wish regarding the candidates that we interviewed. And if they're so inclined to support a particular candidate, feel free to do so. So I'll start with Holly Leo.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Frank, it's been a pleasure. I was so impressed with the number of candidates and the quality that we got. And hopefully, if you do your job well, we don't have to see you for a long time.
Right. Yeah, right.
I was really impressed with all 4 candidates, honestly. I mean, Bill Gambrill from St. Clair Shores obviously had a great experience with Army Corps of Engineers and water. And Mike Womack, he got us all with the dog park story, really taking the bull by the horns, the DDA. My preference of the candidates was Ryan Heiss from Egg Harbor. He was I was really impressed that he's already the Economic Development Director for Egg Harbor. He seemed really engaged with his community. He's managed road projects. Egg Harbor is so much like Saugatuck. He had a passion for the environment. He seemed to understand creative, walkable, bikeable, environmentally aware community. And he's currently building a bike trail from beach to beach. So I was impressed by that. And I was also very impressed by Leslie. She had fantastic management staff and interpersonal skills. She seemed to be off the chart in those areas, and she had really strong water management skills. So those were my 2 top out of 4 excellent candidates, Frank.
Okay, Garnett. Thank you, Holly.
Yes, thanks. And I will refrain from repeating what Holly's already said. I would be happy with any one of these candidates. And so for me, it was a matter of best fit. I found Ryan to be, in my opinion, the best fit for us, coming from a similar community. In a way, it'll be a bit of a bigger community in the off season, if you will. I think he'll probably have the same experiences summer-wise, but I think the transition for him will probably be the smoothest. So my first preference is Ryan. I also was secondarily, I really enjoyed Leslie's personality and passion and humor. So my top candidate is Ryan, with Leslie as a second.
Right. Thank you. Lauren?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Wow, I was so enthusiastic and optimistic after the interviews with all of them. They were all very impressive, their interviews and on paper, their experience level. These candidates were top notch. Big thanks to Frank for bringing them to us. Leslie really stood out as far as her personality and humor and her leadership style. If we could find a position for her in our community, I know people would love to have her here. But in the end, Ryan Heiss stood out to me the most because of his experience in a similar community like Saugatuck. It's a tourism community. He did reach out to me after the interviews and checked back in with me on some things that he asked about. One of the things he asked all of us was what were some of our top priorities for the city. And I had mentioned something that other people had mentioned, and that was cell coverage, reliable internet, and upgrading our technology to make sure that we were all set for tourism season this coming summer. And he reached out to me to let me know about a grant that he was awarded in Egg Harbor that really is exciting. And I hope that it's something that, you know, we could have in our area. He also talked about his passion for lake maintenance contracts, or being able to work with the lake maintenance contracts, and his passion for water quality protection. And of course, a more walkable community. And I loved everything about Ryan Heiss, and I think he would be fantastic if we could.
All right, thanks, Lauren. Ken?
Yes, I hate to repeat everything that's been said, but I could. My first choice also was Ryan. I think that he's in a like-minded community, so he knows the kind of environment we're in. I really liked his comments about building consensus and doing visioning and setting priorities and working with the council to set the priorities, and understanding that his job then is to carry them out. So by far he would be my first choice. I also thought Leslie was phenomenal. She nailed that interview. I mean, it was just fantastic. And I think it was Lauren who said if we could find another place, a job for her we could offer, I'd certainly support that as well. I would also comment about the process. Frank Welsh did a marvelous job. He's very professional, very precise in directing us and what we could do, what we shouldn't do. And I think it was great. But the greatest part of it was we conducted this mostly in public. I mean, the selection part of this in public, and the interviews. So we've involved the community, I think, more than ever in a selection of executive for Saugatuck. And I think that's a great positive. And look, we've got 41 participants in this call tonight, and that's really good. So again, Ryan would be my first choice.
All right. Thanks, Ken. Chris Peterson?
I would echo all of the things that have been said too. First of all, the 4 candidates that Frank brought to us were outstanding. They were all very well educated, very well in tune with community management, business, everything that we kind of were looking for. Ryan stood out to me, his demeanor, his knowledge of every subject that we talked about. And like Lauren, he reached out to me. The one thing I mentioned that no one else had was beach replenishment. And he also sent 2 articles about that, one of which he was involved with and received grant money for that. I think that he can, as everybody has said, just come right in and pick up the reins and go. We're going to be, I think we're going to be ship shape with him in just a very short time. But again, like kudos to Frank, this was an amazing process. You made it so easy. There was no stress. It just moved smoothly. So thank you very much. And thank you for all the people that applied. My second would have been Leslie. She kind of had me when she said she drove a snowplow. Again, like Lauren, if we could find a place for that'd be absolutely awesome. But Ryan is my first choice.
Okay, thanks. Scott?
Yeah, all excellent candidates. And, you know, frankly, Michigan's very lucky to have Mike and Bill already here in state working. I asked a number of residents to watch the interviews if they didn't watch them live. And consistently, Ryan was either the #1 pick or tied for first among all of the feedback I got from residents. And that tracks exactly with my feeling. I think he is the best fit for Saugatuck. And Leslie is excellent. Frank, I really do hope you will flag her to the attention of other municipalities in Michigan. I'm thrilled to be bringing talent like Ryan back into the state of Michigan. I'd love to see us Michiganders help Leslie get here, because I think she'd be a real asset to this state. So Ryan's my #1 with Leslie as #2.
All right. Thanks, Scott. As far as my comments, I too would like to thank Frank for a good job, a great job in steering us through this difficult process that can easily get off the tracks if you don't have a good, strong engineer, operating the locomotive. So one thing I like about Frank is he set timelines and goals, and he hit everyone right on the button, and that's commendable. So we sure were fortunate that Frank helped us through this process. I don't really have a second choice. If we had to get to a second choice, I'd have to bring in 1, 2, or 3 of them for second interviews, to be honest with you. However, my clear choice is also Ryan Heiss, for just all the comments that all my other colleagues have mentioned. And I think he's our best candidate to, so to speak, hit the floor running. One thing I'd like to share is that throughout the process, we have made an effort to include our primary office staff and administrative staff members. That would be our city clerk, our Department of Public Works supervisor, our zoning administrator, and our city clerk. And council allowed me to talk with our employees after the interviews, and all of them were unanimous without hesitation with a recommendation for Ryan Heiss for a variety of reasons. For as much as they reached out to us after the interviews, they reached out to our staff. He reached out to our staff even more. I think he's already got a good rapport going with them. So I too recommend Ryan Heiss for this position. That being said, answer or allow one more round of comments from council. If not, so does anyone else like to add anything more?
Mayor, I'd just like to thank all the people, all the citizens of Saugatuck who gave us feedback. I've heard from over a dozen since the interviews, and it's remarkable that you guys would spend the time to do that and give us feedback. That's great. That was great. Very helpful too. And as Scott said, all the feedback I got listed Ryan as #1. It was.
Yeah.
I echo that comment, Ken. Wow, we've got some real good comments from, I think we all did, all council people.
Sure.
So if there's no further comments, I think Ms. Leo would like to make a motion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to make a conditional offer of employment as Saugatuck City Manager to Ryan Heiss, contingent on successful background check and contractual negotiations. Mayor Beckon and Mayor Pro Tem Lewis are authorized to work with Mr. Walsh in negotiating the city manager contract.
Thank you, Holly. Mr. Tresser.
I will second that motion.
Okay. All right. So is there any further comments? If not, clerk, please call the roll on the motion.
Leo,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
and Beckon.
Yes,
Fantastic.
2 yeses, double yes. Okay, thank you. The process is complete to the point of us being in a position to offer a employment and a contract to Ryan Heiss from current administrator in Egg Harbor, Wisconsin. Frank, why don't you kind of take it from here, would you please?
Sure. So what will happen now is I'll contact the other 3 candidates tonight via phone. I'll also contact Mr. Heiss as well. I've had some conversations with 2 of the candidates since the interview process, all 4 of them through email, but 2 by phone. One other thing, what will happen now is the background check will begin immediately tomorrow, and that'll take up to a week. And then I understand, do you meet 2 weeks from, do you meet on the 28th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the hope is, if everything keeping to our timelines, Mr. Mayor, if it all works out, we would have the contract and the background check and everything ready to go and have it on the agenda for the 28th in place with a target date of around between the 1st and 8th of February for Mr. Heiss to start his employment. And that'll all be in gear starting tomorrow. The only other thing I would ask is one of the issues that gets lost in the process, but yet it's very important, is all the press information that comes out of the city. So I would turn it back to you, Mayor Beckon, and the council to determine how you're going to handle the press release and press information on this. Who's responsible for that?
All right. Thank you,
Don't know
Frank.
how.
We're fortunate.
I'll just turn the volume down. Okay, I got the volume down, Tom. I was
Okay.
watching the Saugatuck City
Someone's-
Council meeting.
Someone's stepping on my toes here. Okay, all right. So along the lines of a public press release, we've got a councilman, Scott Dean, who has offered his services to work with City Manager Karen and Frank Walsh to prepare the press release. And Scott, are you still willing to do so?
Yeah, I can get you, Mayor, and Frank and Karen, a draft of a press release that you could share with the candidate tonight. I'll get right on it.
All right, all right. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Frank, before we let you go, could you make one, I guess you have to just balance, is it a requirement or is it a recommendation? But can you kind of touch question from one of our citizens?
Sure. And just before I do that, I just want to reiterate to the council and to the community and I won't go over all the reference checks I did on all the candidates because it could be irrelevant, but I do want to tell you that when it comes to the candidate that you've selected, I talked to the existing president of the village council in Egg Harbor. I watched 2 of their meetings in their entirety to watch how he interacted with his council members. Because it's one thing to say what you do, and it's another to actually watch what they do. I talked to the Door County Economic Development Director about his engagement with Ryan, and I talked to the actual architect. He talked about the Egg Harbor Library and Community Center. I reached out to the architect on that project to see how he was in timelines and deadlines. Did he follow through, and the financial aspect of that. All 3 of those I had in addition to watching the meeting. So I've spent a considerable amount of time checking references on Mr. Heiss. And now comes background check. As far as residency requirements, it's unlawful for any community to require a municipal manager or any employee to reside. In fact, it is against the law to even put it into a contract. So it's a subject that comes up in every communication. I agree with Mr. Fox that it's important for the manager to live in the community. As all of you know, it's a little more difficult or challenging to do that in Saugatuck because your property values, much to your success, are quite high. And at a salary that's going to come in at around, I would guess, around $100,000, it's going to be a real challenge for that to happen. But some of the things that other communities have looked at is some sort of rent subsidy that can go into a contract for a period of time. There's other ways to look at that and put it all together. And we can discuss that in our contractual negotiations that come up. But one thing is that, to answer your question directly, I think it's been about 20 years now, maybe 22 years, that the Michigan legislature outlawed. You can, I believe you can have requirements for public safety employees to live within, I think it's 20 miles. But that's as far as you can go with residency requirements, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. Council, do you have any other questions for Frank? Okay, if not, we'll move on. We have nothing on our consent agenda. This is a second opportunity for members of the audience to address council, making public comments on any item they wish to talk to. Again, I remind you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And when recognized, share your name and the community in which you reside. So the floor is open.
Mr. Mayor, I see Jane Underwood, Cindy Osmond, and Barry Johnson right now.
Okay, Miss Underwood?
Yes, thank you, Mark. I think you can probably guess I'm Jane Underwood, Saugatuck. And Wednesday, I was going north on Park Street and I saw a sign or a fence, and I thought, oh my God, in the summer when the ferry docks on the west side and people are streaming out, the children usually run out, sometimes almost into the street. That fence is definitely very dangerous for our community. It's scary. Also, I thought we had some restrictions on heights of fences. I will let other people, because I know other people are upset about this, carry on this conversation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jane. I believe you said Barry Johnson is out there.
Barry and Cindy.
Okay. Barry?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was in on the early processes. I had an opportunity to work with Frank, and I have to reiterate everything you guys have all said, but Frank was wonderful to work with. When I saw the candidates he brought before you and the new council, very impressed, and for what it's worth, Ryan was my first choice too. And I'm not going to comment on the fence at this time, but it's going to come up and I will have comments at a later date.
Thank you. Cindy Osmond?
I just wanted to comment that some people did enter the meeting after Karen made her comments about the band shell and the fence. So I'm not sure if that's the topic they want to talk about, but maybe she wants to restate those comments.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you. Karen, do you just mind repeating what you stated earlier in the meeting, please? Is she still with us?
She's muted.
Oh, is she?
I'm
There she is.
unmuted now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Wicks Park Band Shell. Last week, Jim Selman called and he wanted to give us a heads up that he wants to be released from his donation agreement to help fund a performing arts band shell in Wicks Park. The reason he gave was the division it was causing in the community. And another thing he wanted was for any expenses that have been incurred to date to be taken out of the deduction or out of the donation before it was returned to him, because he didn't want any of the taxpayers to have to fund that. I did call our engineers at Fleece and Vandenbrink to stop the design. And I have not heard from his attorney yet. When I do and we get the paperwork, that will come back to council for your decision on releasing him or not. That's what I had on the Wicks Park band shell. The fence that went up last week. In July of 2019, there was a land swap between the Dune Ridge developers and the city. Part of that land swap allowed for them to build an 8-foot privacy fence. There's been a lot of questions come up about that, a lot of valid questions, and there's a lot of concern about the process. Cindy Osmond and I met with the developer this morning, and we are talking to our attorneys. We're reviewing all the information that we can find at City Hall and on our electronic files about it. And at this time, I am not ready to give a report to council, but I expect that to happen very soon. So just stay tuned and hopefully we'll get some good information for you.
All right, thanks, Karen. Going back to Aaron, is there anyone out there
Yes.
who, okay,
Peg Sanford.
all right. Peg, please make your comments.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, Peg. Thank you. Good to
Thank
see you.
I'm just here to check back in on what the manager just said about Jim's withdrawal. I would like to inform you at least that up to this minute, we have had 937 responses to the petition we put out in support of the bandstand and the restroom facility. And so we would hope you would take that into consideration as you go forward. And we are more than happy to help in any way that we can. And that's all.
All right. Thank you, Peg.
Yep.
Aaron, others?
Let me just do one more look, but I do not see anybody else flailing or waving or raising their hands.
Okay. All right. So one more call out to anyone who wishes to address council this evening. If not, thank you for those who commented. Moving on, communications, we have in our files an email Gordon Lafort for council to peruse. And now we go to final council comments of the evening. Scott, would you like to address, do you have anything else to say?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, all righty.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, did we miss boards and commissions?
I don't think we have any, do we? I don't see anybody down there, so I just kind of did gloss over that. So I will drop back to that item. It doesn't seem like anybody's jumping up and
Sorry
down
about
to
the
give
interruption.
That's all right.
Well,
All right.
real quick, this Garn, we
Sure.
had a historic district commission meeting. It was very good. 890 Holland Street, some additions to the windows, doors and siding. And then we spent quite a bit of time talking about the Wicks Park gazebo, which is now moot. So that was the gist of that.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you, Garnett.
It's all
So
mute.
Scott, you're good then? All right, Ken?
Nothing more to add. Thank you.
All right. Garnett?
Nope, thank you. Thanks, Frank. Really appreciate your help with all this.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Is Chris out there?
Yep. Great
We go-
meeting. Thank you.
You're all set? Okay. Holly?
I just wanted to say that I'm quite sad to see Jim Solomon pull his donation. Jim and David are beloved in our community, and they shared a love of the performing arts and civic duty. As we've talked about, David served on the East Lansing City Council from 83 to 95, and he was always very supportive of me in my campaign. I know that Jim is disappointed by this outcome, and as I understand it, his attorney will be in touch with Karen in the next few days. I do hope that this can be a healing time for the community and we can give Jim some space. We'll continue the conversation about Wicks in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Lauren?
I just wanted to say the same thing as Holly said, deepest appreciation to Jim Selman for this. You know, what was just an incredible contribution to our city, but also his thoughtful consideration on now pulling it after hearing from the community. I think everybody owes Jim a lot, not only for, you know, making the contribution to begin with, but also listening to so many people. And I hope more people step forward like he did and, you know, take these thoughts into consideration in the future. I also hope going forward that we have projects, you know, ready to go. So when other people come forward with donations like this, that the whole community has decided what are some projects that we would love to see some donations put toward. And I know the fence issue, the 8-foot fence is going to be discussed, you know, through lawyers, and I'm hoping that that gets resolved. Who knows, maybe our hands are tied, but I hope something happens with that. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Mayor's comments. I too wish to thank Jim Selman for his generous offer of a donation. Sometimes things don't work out as everyone wishes to plan. However, Jim certainly isn't the bad guy in this. There really isn't a bad person in this. He just kind of got caught in the middle. Sometimes the best of intentions just don't turn out with the best results. In no way does this diminish the affection that and respect and appreciation our community holds for both Jim Selman and the memory of Dave Ballas. They've both been stellar community residents. And so, Jim, if you're out there, thanks and God bless. That being said, this is our last meeting before Christmas. So I wish everyone out there in was listening this evening in the city a joyous and Merry Christmas. We'll have to reschedule our next workshop, so stay tuned on that. Garnett and I will get with staff and we'll make a decision in plenty of time to go forward with that date, unless you want to come in on Christmas Eve, but I don't think we do. So. All right, that concludes our meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
We're moved to adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion by Lewis to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Trester. Roll call, please.
Lewis,
Yes.
Trester,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Beckett.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.